I'm here with Pastor Kenneth Mulkey from Cottonwood Leadership College, and what we want to do is invite you into a conversation with us about leadership, and hopefully what you can take away from this is just some tools that you can apply wherever you're serving as a leader. Hi, Pastor Kenneth.
Hey, Garrett, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Great.
What I've noticed is that there seems to be an emerging awareness of generational thinking among leaders. And what I wanted to kind of pick your brain about and find out from you is, from your perspective, what are some of the obstacles that we can run into as we attempt to think generationally? And just in general, how do we begin to think generationally as a leader?
I think as a leader, you can definitely err on the side of just thinking of your individual singular leadership and that effect. I think if leadership is going to be most effectual, you have to think generationally. I think first of all we have to think generationally because the Bible, suggests that we should. Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, it just starts off right there how the promise God made to Abraham went through 2 other generations. And we know how God speaks in the book of Exodus about generational blessings, how he can bless, people to the 3rd and 4th generation. And so I think as a leader, it is a wise thing for us to think generationally because, there's a dynamic that's going on all the time. That is we're getting older. People in front of us are getting older. We ourselves are getting older. And for the kingdom of God to continue to advance, we have to be aware of the fact that we need to not only support those who are in front of us continually and minister to those who are behind us, but we have to do so with a great sense of wisdom and tactfulness. And I think because this generational thinking has arisen, I think a large part of it is because people have looked around at their surroundings and they realize, everybody's getting older and we don't see enough young people here.
Yeah.
What's going to happen if something happens to us?
Right.
And the answer to that question is things will cease if you don't do something proactively right now.
That's good.
So if you don't start to think about it, then you won't act on doing certain things from a generational standpoint, meaning becoming more aware of, more conscious of other generations. I think that's important. And how really, in the scheme of God's plan, we're all connected.
Yeah.
Yeah, the young people can't do what they do for God without those who've gone before them. Those who have gone before them can't see God's work continue in the present and in the future without equipping and raising up those who are behind them. And so really, there is a right hand and a left hand dynamic. We have to work together in order for things to really be impactful like God would have them to be. And you can't do it just one generation alone. I don't think that was ever the plan.
Another question I have then is, how do we cultivate an environment wherever we're leading, wherever we're serving, and cultivate an environment where we create an awareness of the different age groups and the different generations? And also, can you give us some keys on how to maybe bridge the gaps between those different generations? Because there seems to be misunderstandings and there seems to be some gaps in between each age group to where maybe sometimes we don't understand each other. Can you speak to that for me?
Sure. I think awareness comes with having an open mind. And I think we can help lift awareness by simply talking about it as leaders. I think if we never address the topic, then we never become aware of it. It can be something that we see but don't see.
That's good.
We can see that, we need older people in our lives because we see that the counsel we get from all our young friends is the same, or it doesn't work, or it's not enough, or we can see that we need young people involved because we look around the room and everybody in the room is 50 or 60 or over, and we realize that, there's a need. And so I think that the number one way to help bring about awareness is just to begin to talk about it, begin to challenge leaders to look at their leadership environment and see what the scheme in the surrounding leaders around them or people around them actually look like. And that can be a challenge. People probably don't want to do that because they don't want to feel like they're judging. But it's not so much judging, it's just a matter of observing. Mm-hmm. I think if you can observe, then you can come up with conclusions and you see what needs to be done. In terms of bridging the gap, there's always been this thinking of there's a generation gap. I think that's a matter of thinking. If you think there is a generation gap, then there is a generation gap. Mm-hmm. I think if you see the priority of us connecting and the power that can happen if we do connect, then you'll begin to readjust how you think about generational gaps and us being disconnected and us not understanding. I don't know that working together means that we fully understand. I think what it means is that we have to be willing to adjust anything or some things that could hinder us from working together.
That's good.
Case in point, you know, if you're an older person and you go to church and the music is more conservative, well, if you're going to embrace a younger generation, you have to seek to understand what is the genre of Christian music they listen to. Does it have to be conservative only, or can we add it, you know, add some more rock to it? Can it be more upbeat? Will you allow lights in the sanctuary? What will you allow, and what do you feel you need to do in order to make a situation inviting and acceptable for a younger generation? Or if you're a younger generation, does it mean that every song has to be turned completely up to the maximum volume level? And does it mean that you can't have service if you don't have all your lights and smoke? So, or does it mean that because of the respect you have for the generation who has built the church, you're willing to, you know, hear some hymns and hear some other songs that might be considered conservative or ones that you don't even like? I think the key thing, and I'll come to a close here, is that for us to connect generationally, we're going to have to give up something in order to get something greater.
That's good.
And if we realize that this is for God, for the kingdom, it's about reaching people, it's about His church being influential in every aspect of life, and we need to work generationally to do this, then what we give up will be nothing compared to what we gain.
Awesome, awesome. Thank you very much, Pastor Kenneth, and thank you guys for tuning in today. We're going to endeavor to bring more of this kind of practical leadership tools to you wherever you're at and wherever you're tuning in from. So thank you very much.